So welcome to Echoes from Beyond, and this week we have the fabulous Graham MacLauren. I hope I have pronounced that right here on the show. Welcome, Graham.
Yeah, good evening, Samantha. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you. It's great to have you here. Thank you for coming on to the show. Now, obviously, I know you, I've known you for a while, but just for the listeners who don't know who you are, could you just give us a little intro? How would you describe yourself?
How would I describe myself? Well, a couple of things that I'm very proud of is that I'm only the second person in Scotland to hold the Conan Doyle Prize for Outstanding Ability. Otherwise, I'm only a channel.
Yeah.
So I'm a medium, psychic, trance medium, trance healer. I took for physical mediumship, and I've been involved in the spiritual movement for a short time compared to most. It was only 13 years just last month. So
yeah,
the journey's been very incredible, but I'm very humbled and think that everything starts with the healing, regardless of what we work with. And if you can help heal hearts and unite families, then isn't that the most wonderful thing ever?
Definitely, definitely. So, you know, a lot of the times, a lot of the guests and the mediums that I talk to, it's actually loss has activated, or some a big life moment. Doesn't have to be a literal loss, but it could be a big life moment has kind of activated that path. Are you one of those? Are you in that gang?
I certainly am, but I'm one of those that was very ignorant to it and didn't pay attention because I knew nothing of spiritualism.
Oh, okay. You didn't grow up around it or anything like that then?
My first visit to the spirit world when I was 6.
Yeah.
I had fractured my skull and I'd fallen over a concrete stairwell, and the neighbour found me. And if it wasn't for the duffel coat I was wearing, because it was also in the winter, and the fur-lined hood, I would have passed away there and then. I very sadly lost hearing in my right ear that never recovered because too much fluid and the nerve had severed on the ear. My second visit to the spirit world was when I was 16. My father and I were in a massive accident where a mechanical digger went through his car.
Oh gosh.
And that is one of the most vivid experiences I've ever had, where I remember running in a field with my dog, with my uncle's dog, to this ranch style house. It was so surreal when I look back now. And I hear the music playing, and there was a party going on. And just before I seen the faces, I got hauled back through the light to hear the surgeon and Deja saying the time of death is, as my heart started to beat. And then I seen my grandfather when I was 19. And he made this quite funny. Not knowing anything about spiritualism, he said, you need to work for the spirit. And the following night, I seen my great aunt in a dream, and she tells me the exact same thing. So from then on in, I got a job in hospitality to work in a licensed trade with spirit. Thinking that was the way forward.
Wrong spirit, Graham. Wrong spirit.
And then very sadly, in 2003, my younger brother was found after having taken his own life.
Right.
And that was a big moment where my life fell apart.
And how old was he, Graham?
He was 32.
Right. Okay.
32. It was very tragic. Subsequently, it didn't happen immediately.
No.
But I always knew someone was following me and didn't know what was going on. I then went for surgery 2006. It didn't quite go right, and I was in hospital for quite a while. And when I came home, this voice said as I entered my home, "Welcome home, Graham."
Right.
And I'd gone to bed, and it was the 9th of August 2009 at 2:42 in the morning. And my late brother's voice in this massive white light woke me and said, what I thought he said was, come through the light. So my life wasn't in a great state, and I decided it was time to leave this life. And subsequently, my car was found. I was asked what I was doing, and my mother called my GP. He was a 32-year-old Northern Irishman, and he said, I will make a deal with you. You either go and see my friends at the College of Parapsychology, because I think you've had a spiritual awakening, or I will admit you to psychiatric hospital and section you.
So how huge is that? Because we don't hear that often, because I do work as a healer with a number of people who are in psychosis, and I enlighten them that it is spiritual psychosis. But for you back then to have had someone in front of you say that is just not normal. A professional.
Correct.
Would you
Well,
agree?
when you look back,
Yeah.
and when you start digging into this a bit deeper, Arthur Conan Doyle, who studied in Edinburgh, and he met a doctor called Colin Robertson, and they worked in the Royal Edinburgh, which is the psychiatric hospital in Edinburgh. And they believed that
Right.
not everyone presenting with psychosis deserved to be locked up.
Yeah.
But for me to have this doctor, I'll never forget his name. His name was Paul O'Halloran. I will never forget him for the rest of my life. And I am indebted to that man for helping me understand what had just gone on. And I think what had happened is a combination of things, because as I had surgery, it didn't go well. And then my personal life fell apart. My professional life was beginning to fall apart. And I was struggling with the grief of my brother for many years.
Yeah.
And then just before I started to learn what was going on, my grandmother had been diagnosed with cancer, and we thought we were going to lose her. So there's only so much one person can take. And when you're in that grief wheel, you know, I'd just been married. My wife miscarried 8 weeks after we married. Then my brother died. Then we had subsequent 3 or 4 deaths. And you're 6 months of it, and you think, oh my goodness, how did we get in this place? And funny how the spirit world worked long term, because I'm divorced now, but my wife would never have understood the whole spiritual side, because she was from a very staunch inner Hebridean family on the Isle of Skye. So they just would not have understood what we were about. And I remember speaking to her brother about 3 years later, and when he said, "What are you doing?" and I told him, he said, "You are the devil. You are in the occult. I want nothing to do with you." And I went, oh my goodness, you know, open your mind.
Yeah, because it's just pure love.
Isn't it?
I just think people get it who are in that such fear, because to me that's his years and years of upbringing sat in fear. Do you know what I mean? That belief, that mindset just comes from total and utter fear. Whereas to work with spirit, you've got to be the polar opposite and be in a complete state of love.
Correct. And you know, some of the most wonderful things when you help people that are grieving. I had a service last night, and an elderly lady had lost her husband. I connected with her and connected her with her husband. And I said to her, can you understand why he's talking to me about the headstone or the plaque, and it's not engraved yet?
Yeah.
And she was overcome with emotion. And she just had to tell me there and then that's what he did for a living. And
amazing.
what more evidence can you get from the spirit world to help a loved one heal, you know? And I'm a great believer now. I didn't understand it back then, but I'm a great believer in us as mediums. And my tutor used to say this to me regularly. How can you interact with someone and understand how they're feeling if you've never experienced it yourself?
Yeah.
That's why I wrote my first book, which is entitled An Earthbound Angel, A Spiritual Awakening, the story of the journey and the challenges we face.
Yeah.
And how then that helps us. Now, very quickly, for the license trade, I ended up one of the youngest 5-star hotel managers in the country, and got the opportunity to serve Late Queen Elizabeth for 16 years along with my job. And in 2012, I started sitting late 2009 when I put into a class to understand energy. And then I sat and got nothing for 8 months. And I was about to walk away from the development class I was in when a girl left. And I had been invited on a Val Williams workshop. And I was the only male. I felt quite intimidated at that point. I don't so much now. But I was about to walk out, and Val caught me in her eye and said, "Sunbeam, come here." And a couple of exercises later, she sits us up to get on, and I said, "Val, I can't do this." and she's going, name, da-da-da-da-da, to the girl next to me.
Yeah.
He goes, ask the group, and they go, yes, that could be my dad, that could be my granddad, that could be my uncle. And I thought, what's going on? So she got to me, and she said to me, name. I go, Diana, 2 children, 2 covers in her hair, a boy and a girl, died of a broken heart, went up to social class. And she said, okay, ask the group. And they all just looked at you, you know, because they don't understand it. And I said, look, well, I told you I can't do this. When she said, what's the message? I said, it's about a phone call to a restaurant telling Diana not to go to Paris. And she nearly dropped dead. I can't repeat the words that Val used.
No,
said,
no.
My goodness, this was for me. I believe who you're connected to is Diana, Princess of Wales. And how things then come full circle. When I watched the late Queen Elizabeth danced with the Queen Mother, then Diana connects. And
it's amazing, isn't it?
The feeling in your heart is one of overwhelming joy that you're bringing comfort. And the message for Val was very much that Diana's late father had connected to her the evening before. She went to Paris asking that Val call the restaurant that Diana was eating at, owned by her friend, and asked Diana not to go to Paris. And Val's friend wouldn't pass the message on.
Oh, wow.
You know, but Diana was even when we look at films like The King's Speech, you know, the royals are no stranger to the spiritual movement.
Well, I was going to ask you that as well. So as you have a little bit of insider knowledge, is the royal family spiritual?
Well, very much so. And when late George IV passed, you may have heard of the name Lillian Bailey. So Lillian was a medium in her own right that wouldn't do house party private readings, and she was contacted and kind of badgered into doing this reading. She didn't know who it was for. She was blindfolded and taken to Kensington Palace. She didn't know that at the time. And she could hear the rustling of clothes. She did the sitting blindfolded. And then after the sitting, there was the Queen Mother, Princess Anne, Princess Michael of Kent, the Duchess of Kent. I can't remember the other one. There was 6 of them there all together. But then the Queen Mother and Lillian, as the Queen Mother grieved, and she was up at the Castle of May, way in the top of Scotland, she would call Lillian, and they built up a wonderful friendship. And she wanted to give Lillian something for her service, but what she owned belonged to the crown. And she came across a brooch that her husband bought her, and she met Lillian, and she wanted to pin it on her shoulder, so she put it on her left lapel. And shortly after that meeting, the Queen Mother died, and then subsequently Lillian passed away. And I just visualized the 2 of them rekindling their friendship, because, you know, these people are just, I know a lot of people might think they're elitist or whatever, but they're human beings like you and I.
Yeah.
You know, they've got feelings.
And I also think people need to remember that about mediums.
Yeah, we've got feelings too.
Human lives as well.
you find it in the spiritual circle. You'll know this yourself, and I think we spoke about it. But it's so competitive, and why? Well, if we only learn to support one another, you know, we all work differently. I can't help how I work, and if I might get more accurate evidence than yourself, is that a crime? No. It means that we're at different stages on a journey. We're able to help so many different people.
And it's also spirit, isn't it? You know, it's like, I can remember a lady coming to me. I think the lady now lives in Australia, but she came to me for, obviously I didn't know at the time, to connect with her son who had passed. I think it was an accident, but her son had passed. And she had been to several mediums before. And without being rude, they were quite sort of granny looking mediums. And she said, when I saw you on Facebook working, I knew to come to you because I knew my son would like you. So I knew he'd come through you. And lo and behold, he came through from Spirit World and spent the first 5 minutes flirting. And it was because
that's the essence of personality.
Character. Pardon?
That's the essence of his personality.
Yeah, which is what I'm all about, is bringing through personality. So she was over the moon, you know, but it's also that, isn't it? I think you've got a gel. There's got to be a gel or a match somewhere vibrationally between the medium and who's coming through as well.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And I often say to
I
people,
believe so.
I often say to people, you know, there's only so many, because people will go, oh, that was very general. You go, well, there's only so many people that can pass. There's only so many ways someone can pass that we're able to feel.
Yeah.
Look at then the quality of the evidence.
Yeah.
Look at the description of the person. You know, a lot we still see, and you know, social media doesn't do us any favors for those of us that really have worked at it to get where we are. And you know, they've been on a weekend course, and suddenly they're the world's greatest mediums out there doing readings, and a lot of it's just psychic.
Yes,
Now,
and I don't.
there's nothing wrong working psychically. However, when you're a medium, make sure you tell the client when the energy drops. Be upfront and honest, so the client knows
to rebuild it.
I mean, I'll give you an example. When I worked last night, and this lady had terrible problems with blood pressure and with gut health and general. So I said to her, I'm going to give you a tip, but it's not from the spirit world.
Yeah.
Because they've already said what they wanted to say. So I said to her, you know, use your holistic approach and use your turmeric or cumin and ginger. That has, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a holistic practitioner.
Yeah.
It's been proven to make sure it brings your blood through and pumps through the heart, so your heart health's good, your gut health's good. And I got a lovely message from them this morning to say, thanks very much. I didn't realize I could help myself in that way. Now, the other side that holistics believe about everything we experience in our lives is that we invoke that, that we bring that on ourselves.
Right.
So when we sit and we grieve and we hold on to that, or we hold on to where there's discord in family because of loss, we block our journey continuing because we're dealing with that stale, horrible energy that we don't want to deal with. Where we can just learn to sit and ask the spirit world to help us release that negative energy and allow the flow to start again, so that wonderful, wonderful experiences can come back into our life. I share with you that when life for me was dark, it was very dark.
Yeah.
I will forever be indebted to the spirit world. You know, a lot of your viewers or listeners may not think that, but they have put me in a position that I would never, ever, ever, ever be in if I now didn't have that wonderful opportunity to work with the spirit world. And 4 years ago, they changed what was an interest and a hobby to a job.
Yeah.
And that's what I do permanently now. I now get the opportunity to travel the world with my work.
Yeah, which is wonderful, isn't it? And that's what's meant for you.
That's
what was always meant for you.
What better endorsement can I give the spirit world? I can't, because if it were not for them helping me to see the light and helping me to deal with my grief so that I can go on and help others.
Yeah, and it is tricky, isn't it? Because obviously when I lost my dad, I got hit with I call it affectionately the grief stick, and it was a massive battle. But for me, it actually opened up another layer again. And I'd always been doing the trance mediumship and elements of trance voice and stuff like that, but I always kept it all very, very hidden. But as strange as this might sound, it took my dad's passing for me to really value mediumship, and in that opened me up again to another layer. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, and of course the more you sit in the trance state, the deeper your mediumship becomes. You know, people don't quite realize that when you work with mediumship especially, that you are building a relationship with the spirit entity. They also don't realize that the spirit world can actually do more for us in eternal life than what they can do here in the physical life. I mean, they can't pay our gas and electricity, but they can move some of the red tape out of our way. And I can only refer to my own experiences, but I've been in many situations where, as I began to open up to the spirit world, that I never thought I would have got out of.
Right.
If it wasn't for the spirit world wrapping their arms around me, and changing the way I think, helping me to realize that I need to make changes to be able to get on, and then from there, allowing me this wondrous opportunity of harnessing ability. Now, when I talk about my tutor, nobody can make you a medium, and she would be the first to tell you that. But what they can do is create the condition that allows you to flourish.
Definitely.
And what she said to me was, because I got nothing for the first 8 months, and as I said, I was about to walk away, and one girl left our group. And then 2 weeks later, she said, I cannot teach you anymore. I have to get you out with me working with this ability, so you understand it now. And she explained that if you do sit in circle, if your soul does not quite trust that it sits with, or if there's a doubt there, then the spirit world will hold you back.
Yeah.
However, what she learned was that doesn't mean to say that development didn't go on there. You know, I used to dream or have premonitions of accidents that were about to happen. I can tell you about every helicopter accident in Scotland, where they went down, how many lived, how many were pulled from the water, the brand of helicopter, where it was going, where it left. And then 2 weeks later, it would be on mainstream media.
Yeah. And did you find that unnerving?
Yeah, it frightened me. And then
my
friend who worked for me, because I had health clinics with my mother, asked if I would read for her. Her father-in-law was very ill, and they're Asian. So she said, can you tell me how long he's got left? And I was like, well, I'm not going to be told that, so I'll flip a card. And I'll look at my tools. And it was an 8. So I said, well, within an 8 hours, 8 days, 8 weeks, 8 months, 8 years. And she went, well, that's pleasing to know. It's not going to be 8 years, and it's not going to be 8 months, because it's in such a bad way. She said, at least if we've got him 8 weeks, that'll see us to the celebration that we call Eid. Now, that was at 3:15. I'd done that in the afternoon. I got a call just after midnight to say my father-in-law passed away at 11:15. And that then frightened me even more. To be so specific, said, do I want to do this? And each time, I mean, I made a vow that however long or short my life is now, I will dedicate my life to that, the spirit world, in whichever way they want to use me. And where there's a lot of upset and controversy in the spiritual world, I was on crutches, and I had a medium make fun of my mobility.
Right, okay.
And then on a trance course, believe it or not, and 3 people I knew were on that course and phoned the police. The next thing I knew, my house was like a scene out the bill.
Right, okay.
With riot vans and police arriving for hate crime.
Hate crime against you, obviously.
Yeah. Said medium, then there was certainly, I don't know what happened there, but I certainly know the organisation they were part of was made aware, and there was consequences. But then they started turning up at my services to cause upset and drama. I guess to vindicate themselves. But why does it need to be like that? You know, we cannot help where someone's at on their journeys. But you know, in the spirit world, the predominant emotion is love.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, and I believe in the Bible, it's quoted that man will destroy man. You know,
what we're in now.
Correct. And yet, when you look at our animal kingdom and our plant kingdom, they've found a way to live in harmony for thousands and thousands of years. And man cannot live with man, because we either don't listen, we don't tolerate, we're not patient. Life becomes so digital now that.
Well, it's the ego state, isn't it? I don't
Correct.
think animals have and plants have egos like the human
Correct.
race.
Correct.
Yeah.
And, you know, edging God out. And you don't have to go to spiritualist church to understand that there is a God. My interpretation of God will be different to yours.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Definitely.
and I love the spiritual movement. I do, my understanding, I may be very wrong, so correct me if you think so, but I remember when I started and I go to the Christian spiritualist church, they've always got the better music.
I remember them.
They've always got the better music. And I was asking what the difference was, and my tutor used to say to me, well, you know, spiritualists believe in eternal life.
Yeah.
They believe that Jesus was a fantastic healer and tutor, but they don't believe that he was God overall. Christian spiritualists still sit on the fence and think he is the Messiah.
Oh, okay. Okay.
That's always the easy way, and I do a few Christian spiritualist churches,
Yeah.
and they always quote the passage from the Bible, and there's nothing wrong with that whatsoever.
No.
We are all, regardless of where we are all one family. So in terms of the principles of the spiritual movement that Maurice Barbanel delivered to Emma Harton's Britain, and it's the same around the world, although it might be worded differently. We are one family.
Yeah.
We are
one anyway.
connected.
We're all one energy.
You know,
one
if we believe in the spiritual environment, we believe in the ministry of angels and the communion of spirit. And, you know, we believe that there's a continuous existence of the soul. And we are responsible for what we do and how we treat others.
Yeah, definitely.
And I often say, if someone's got a problem with you, I never used to be like this. Even sometimes now, I might sound as if I'm very reactive, but then I've got to take a step back and go, stop.
Yeah.
If someone's got a problem, it's their problem.
Absolutely.
And if I was to see them, I would kill them with kindness.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I always say leave people where they are, because you can't stand in judgment of where someone is.
No.
Because judgment is a negative vibration. And everyone is on their own path, experiencing what they're choosing to manifest and experience. So you have to leave people where they are, even if it's like, you've got to leave them where they are.
Correct. And people come into your life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. I would say to you all, enjoy them while you have them.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, live for today and not for tomorrow, because you never know when someone might leave. And I'll share this with you. I went, I'm just back from working in America, and I went to see a friend of my mother's who I would call an aunt, and she was very ill before I left for the United States. And I wanted to go. She helped me with something major, and I wanted to go and say hi. And then I wanted to take her a nice big bouquet of flowers and a bottle of champagne and go, I done it.
Yeah.
You know? And thank you for believing in me when I needed you to be told. So I went to where I thought she lived, and I got told she didn't live there, but to go to where she worked. So I went to where she worked, and a young girl said, did you not know she passed away earlier this year? And it took the wind out of my sails. It was very upsetting earlier today.
Yeah.
But thankfully, the lovely lady's connected me with her daughter.
Yeah.
So that I can express my condolences, and, you know, I put them in my healing thoughts.
Yeah.
And I know that this lovely soul would be reunited with her husband who passed over 30 years ago. And she was distraught that her son very sadly took his own life too. So to be reunited with both of them in the spirit world, and she'll make her presence known with the little signs that she wants to let her daughter, her grandchildren, and her son know that she's very, very much around, you know. Yeah. And I'm sure at some point I'll get that opportunity of her visiting too. But I find it fascinating that when you see the lights, I thought I had a problem with the lights in my workroom at home, because every time I go to work, like not on earth. And I got an electrician in to check all the electrics, and he said there's nothing wrong with it. And then the penny dropped. I don't want it.
Yes, the oldest trick in the book.
Yep. And I just love the robins and the magpies that visit, and the feathers that are left, and the butterflies. And I see, you know,
it's just awareness, isn't it? Because if
Oh
you're
my
walking
goodness.
through this life
Oh my
unaware, everyone has those signs. Everyone has that connection. It's just down to your own awareness and
Yep.
and being present as well in the moment, instead of on your screen, on your phone, or do you know what I mean? Like, it is about being present. So
And the
you've
spirit-
experienced loss today, then?
Yeah, I'm
That's
really
a
saddened,
shame.
and I
Yeah.
thought I thought I would wear the purple today and the
Oh,
white.
bless you.
You know, the conscious responsibility of the spirit world.
Yeah.
To
It's a funny thing, isn't it, Graham? When I lost my dad, it's like I said to someone once, excuse my language, it's kind of a little bit fucked up to lose someone as a medium, because, and I said, I don't know if it makes the process of grief, that journey of grief, harder or easier. I said, because I have all the human physical loss, all that emotion, all that stuff. I sit, I cry, and and then I go home, I sit on my sofa, I have a conversation, and I sit in the evening and I talk to my dad, because he sat there, and it's like
So my girlfriend and I were in Ireland last year, and we'd an early start. She's from America, and it's so funny in a way, because we wanted to go to the Guinness factory and then go to Timothy's. So that's what we did. And by 11 o'clock in the morning, and 4 pints of Guinness, 5 Timothy's, and it was time for lunch, you know. And we're walking to lunch, and all I see is my girlfriend going like that at set traffic lights. And as I look round, I seen a body go under the last 3 wheels of a tanker. She's seen the body go under all 6 sets of wheels in Dublin. And all the traffic stopped, and nobody's moving to call the emergency services. So I did. And as I go over to check this poor soul, all I could see was the blood. Someone put a sheet over them, which made it worse because the blood was seeping through. And I was getting upset. And my girlfriend said to me, "Why are you getting so upset? You are a spiritual being, and you know this lovely person's got eternity now. Yes, it's tragic what's happened, but will you just get yourself together and just understand that you connect with spirit every day? You know, and sometimes we don't know the circumstances of why someone would leave. Was this an accident? Was it not? Thankfully, the Irish police, the Garda, managed to track down the tanker. For not stopping.
Oh, did they not stop? Okay.
No, he just continued. And I think that's what made it worse. After someone's rolled under 6 wheels of the lorry, you know, the bus driver behind us was traumatized. He had to leave. There was people throwing up at the side of the road because of what they'd witnessed. So grief affects everybody in different ways, regardless of who, you know, who we are. And some people look. I remember when my brother passed away, my father and stepmother wanted a place of remembrance. So he was buried. But we're now 22 years on, and they've moved away. Who tends that lovely memorial? Nobody.
No.
You know, every time I want to go visit, he said to me, "You don't need to visit. I'm here," because he never leaves me. Very different from my grandmother, because she was cremated in 2012. And again, the spirit world work in very mysterious ways. It was Mother's Day weekend. I was in Aberdeen taking the service in Aberdeen too. And I had always sent my grand flowers on Mother's Day. Always, every year. And I couldn't get them delivered on Mother's Day. So they asked if they could deliver them on the Saturday afternoon. And I said, well, yeah, that's close enough. She got her flowers at 4 o'clock on the Saturday afternoon. Between 6 and 7 p.m., I believe, she was then rushed to hospital when she died on Mother's Day.
Oh, goodness.
So the last thing she got that I could show my love
that gift.
was her flowers that she got to enjoy. And her neighbour. Now, my grandmother never said anything to me about spiritualism, never anything. And I call it the celebration of life. I don't like the word funeral. I like to call it the celebration of life, because life goes on. And her neighbour came to me and said, "You know you'll see her before anyone else, don't you? And did you know that every Wednesday she and I sat in meditation connecting to your granddad and your brother?" And I was like, the old bat never told me that, you know. And she was so quirky. She's such a fantastic
I love that. I love that.
But I also remember how I would support others too. And I was in Manchester, and I was working in Manchester, and the church said to me, "Look, we need to leave you on your own for half an hour or so. You know, we've got an appointment." And I managed to get out them. It was a funeral.
Right.
And I said, "Well, would you mind if I just came with you?"
Yeah.
And it turned out it was for an elderly man. He was gay and he'd lost his partner and he'd lost his wee dog, and there was no family or anything.
Yeah.
And I felt so sad when I seen the coffin with a single floral tribute on it. My heart wanted to implode. Yeah. But as the service began, I got to see him holding his wee dog.
Yeah.
And
Nice.
I thought to myself, how beautiful a moment was that?
Yeah, definitely.
And
definitely.
to see the smile on his face, and to just see that he would have been reunited with his partner, you know, and that what was in this box was only the physical shell.
Definitely.
You know, but where do we come from? You know, the sad reality of death is that we have to return to Mother Earth, that in which we were created.
Yeah.
So for the soul to move on, and often I hear a lot when I do a lot of charity work, and I hear a lot about people. They believe the soul leaves the body in research 2 to 3 days before the body shuts down.
Right. Okay.
And of course, those that have got that anxiety and don't want to let go, it's a bit like the film Ghost, where they get stuck.
Yeah.
And that's, we've got to send them all our love and help them get to that place. We've got to help in some way, make sure the portal is open slightly so they can see the light, the hand comes through, and then they automatically leave. And we know then that they've got peace.
Yeah.
And I would say to your listeners, would you rather that your loved ones were in so much pain, had so little mobility, or were in comas? Or would you rather that they had eternal life and could move mountains for you?
Yeah.
And that when we need them the most, they will deliver.
They are.
And I had an incident whereby I needed funding. I won't go into it all, but nobody had ever got funding for this type of arrangement previously.
Yeah.
And the senior advisors I worked with said, "We want you to apply for it. We'll support it." On my late brother's birthday. And I mean, it wasn't just a couple of £1,000. It was nearly 3 figures.
Yeah.
On my late brother's birthday, I received a letter saying your funding's granted, it's available now. And my senior advisors needed that immediately to progress the case that we were dealing with and to bring it to a conclusion. Now, that didn't happen by accident. That was no coincidence.
No. And again, that's another sign, is it, that spirit are with you, your brother's with you, and working his magic. So to anyone watching this, what would you say to them? What tips would you give someone sat at home who's just lost somebody to feel the presence of a loved one?
Well, firstly, sometimes, and without being rude, sometimes it helps to be that little bit vulnerable, because you're a little bit more susceptible to feeling.
Yeah.
And if you can, I would initially, if you're not aware of the spirit world, I would sit in a chair with your feet in the floor your hands on your lap, and I would ask your loved one to step forward and give you a calling card. And you'll be aware of a slight change. It might be hot, it might be cold, it might be tingling, it might be your head, it might be your eyes watering, it might be your nose running, and it might be that you've got pins and needles in your fingers. Whatever you feel, you then ask them to step back. Ask them then to step in again and give you the same sign.
Yeah.
And when you get it again, thank them and ask them to step back and ask them to come in and give you a third time.
Yeah.
So that you get the exact same calling card. Now, if you don't feel the spirit world around you, then at least you can sit and say, Dad, I need your help. Can you please give me the sign that you're there for me? And you'll get that calling card. The other thing I would say to you is try and use the power of prayer. Whether that's silently to the spirit world. You don't have to sit, with your hands in the prayer position, kneeling at your bed, going, Dear God, I need, you want to say to the power of your mind, if it was your dad, for example, Dad, I'm struggling at the moment. I really need your help. I really need to get back to normal before it affects my work. Can you please help me? And you really need to believe that that's happening. And that, I think, is often the part that is shaky because there's so much going on in life and pace of life has got so fast. How many of us take just a few minutes to, even if we're on the loo, just to get into that recenter space?
Yeah. When I first began, it was always in the bath. They used to come in and sit on the end of the bath and they say, What are you doing? I'm in the bath. I love it.
I remember my niece saying to me, "Oh my goodness, just like you said, the spirit world will do when I'm in the bath in the shower. Oh my God!" And I was like, "Look, don't worry, they've got a kind of understanding that they're not going to disclose these things, And I tell you, I often get concerned about people that call themselves mediums, and then whether the information is right or wrong, I do not think we should be taking yourself into someone's, especially a male, dealing with a female who is grieving and may have still a lot of emotion attached.
Yeah.
And taking you into the bedroom and going into their underwear drawer. And I hear countless numbers of stories about that. And how it's very creepy. And I just don't think there's a need for it. There's got to be professional boundaries. And
definitely.
What we do not realize now, and even when we work publicly, we cannot disclose so much in a public environment. We are governed. It used to be that we were governed under the Fraudulent Mediums Act, whereby if you thought the medium was fraudulent, you had to prove it.
Yeah.
Now, since 2000, we are no longer governed under the Fraudulent Mediums Act. We're governed under the Consumer Act.
Right, okay.
That means the medium has to prove they're not fraudulent. And any good medium cannot produce the same things twice.
Yeah.
Now, I have a friend who some years ago worked on a TV program called Most Haunted.
Yeah.
And she did a reading. She would tell me all about it. She said, I had a fantastic reading for this lady. And the cameraman said to me, the lighting wasn't great. You'll have to do it again. And when she explained, but I can't do it again.
We're not performers. We're not performers.
And the cameraman said to her, cameraman then said to her, you'll have to fake it or you won't get paid.
Yeah, I've heard lots of stories like that in the industry.
I think everywhere's got its place, but I'd ask your audience to remember, anything you currently see in TV is highly edited.
Yeah,
it's not the way mediumship works. You may say why, because you don't see where the medium might have that piece of information incorrect. You also don't see where the client would say no, and the medium has to go back to the spirit entity to get it right.
Yeah,
I know when I work that if I'm busy watching in my third eye and the spirit world are talking to me and putting all the words in, that is like an LED message board, and people get your fear, and I'm trying to grab what they're saying, and I might just grab and say hair and go, would you understand who Dad talks to me about that works in hair and beauty? And you would go, no. And I would say, I'm really sorry, just let me check, forgive me, can you understand who has connections to nursing or to health and social care?
Yeah.
And you would say yes, because I've picked it up wrong. We are only human. You know, we're living a human experience, and we're not perfect. We make mistakes. But on these highly edited shows, we don't see that. And it means that these platforms are giving, not that there's anything wrong with what they're doing, but these mediums, people think they're absolutely fantastic and then sometimes let down. And I know someone that had a reading with John Edwards. Now, I loved John Edwards when I seen him on Crossing Over. I went to see him and it was great. The second time I seen him, I was disappointed when he said to this woman, could you understand this piece of information? And she said, no. He said, well, I'll just sit and wait until you remember it. 20 minutes.
Gosh. I think people need to recognize that mediums, you know, you can have a bad day. You can, you can be ill. You can be exhausted, and your own emotions can get in the way as well of it all. Yeah. It's been great to chat, Graham. It's been great.
You know, I would just, if I can just leave you with this parting thought, you know, for those of you that might be struggling with your grief, we don't have to grieve through sadness, folks. Let's think about grieving the way the Europeans grieve. They deal with the sadness the day of the celebration of life, but the rest of it is about keeping the memory alive and looking at the laughter, the idiosyncrasies, and that's going to take you much further than you could ever imagine. And I just say to you all, on behalf of the spirit world, thank you so much for allowing me to be part of your podcast, Samantha. And I just take the opportunity to wish you all every success on your own journey, friends. Sending you lots of love. God bless you.
Thank you. So where can people find you, Graham? What's your socials?
You'll find me on Facebook, on Instagram, Graham MacLauren. I'll share this with you quickly. My name is spelled H-A-M for the American market. And MacLauren is not a name you find easily. I'm the only person on Facebook you'll find that spells a name like that. But my name is MacLauren, and there was a U put in that because the American market could not pronounce my name, and now they can. So it's all good. So I'm on Facebook and I'm on Instagram. I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to hear your thoughts, folks.
Brilliant. I love that.
And I look forward to seeing you somewhere around the country or around the world very soon.
Brilliant. Thank you for that, Graham. Thank you for coming on the show.
You're very welcome. Enjoy your night.
You too.